Chapter 1: The Day the Internet Died. The year is 2034, and Earth feels more connected than ever before as billions of people wake up and immediately check their phones for messages, social media, news, banking apps, streaming services, online shopping, almost every part of modern life depending on one thing. The Internet. Nobody can imagine life without it, and that is exactly why nobody is prepared for what happens next. Your day begins like every other day as you grab your phone and open your favorite social media app. But nothing loads. Strange. You refresh. Still nothing. You try another app with the same result. A small inconvenience, or so you think. Across the city, millions of people experience the same problem as videos won't load. Messages won't send. Websites won't open. At first, everyone assumes it is temporary. Maybe a server problem. Maybe maintenance. Maybe a local outage. Nobody is worried yet. By noon, the problem becomes impossible to ignore as every major platform is offline social media. Search engines, streaming services, online gaming. Everything. News channels begin discussing the outage. Experts appear confused and nobody seems to know what happened. Then banking apps stop working, digital payments stop working, online purchases stop working. Businesses begin reporting problems. Financial markets experience disruptions. And the situation is no longer annoying but becoming serious. Governments launch investigations. Technology companies issue statements. Emergency teams begin searching for answers. Was it a cyber attack? A technical failure? A satellite problem? Nobody knows, and every hour creates more questions. As evening approaches, frustration spreads as influencers cannot post content. Businesses cannot process orders. Students cannot access online classes. Workers cannot access cloud systems. Modern life begins slowing down, and nobody likes it. That night, television stations broadcast special reports where experts make predictions, some believing the Internet will return within hours, others believing it may take days. But nobody expects the truth. Nobody expects what is coming. The next morning arrives, and the Internet is still gone. Phones still cannot connect. Websites still cannot load. Messages still cannot send. And the world begins realizing this is not a normal outage, but something bigger happening. Airports begin experiencing delays. Delivery companies struggle. Logistics systems malfunction. Businesses start losing money. Supply chains become unstable, and the effects spread everywhere faster than anyone expected. Across the world, people begin asking the same question. How long will this last? Hours, days, weeks? Nobody knows. And uncertainty is often more frightening than the problem itself. 3 days pass, still no internet, no social media, no online banking, no cloud services, no digital communication. The impossible becoming reality as humanity begins experiencing something it has not faced in decades: disconnection. Some people remain calm while others begin panicking. Rumors spreading rapidly, not online but through conversations, television, word of mouth, as humanity relearns old habits. By the end of the first week, one fact becomes impossible to deny. This is not a temporary outage, not a maintenance problem. The Internet is gone, completely gone, and nobody knows how to bring it back. Standing above the city at night, you look at a world that suddenly feels different. The buildings are the same. The streets are the same. The people are the same. Yet everything has changed, for humanity built its civilization on connection, and now that connection has vanished. The real crisis has not started yet. It is only beginning, and tomorrow, the first week without the Internet begins. Chapter: The First Week Offline. Day 7 arrives, and the Internet is still gone. No websites, no apps, no social media, no online banking, no cloud services. At first, people expected a quick fix. But now nobody knows if a fix exists at all. And for the first time, real fear begins spreading. Supermarkets become crowded as people rush to buy food, water, batteries, medicine, anything that might become difficult to find later. Long lines form everywhere. Shelves begin emptying, and panic buying has begun. At first, stores try to remain calm as managers reassure customers and employees restock products while governments ask people not to panic. But every hour brings more uncertainty. And uncertainty often creates fear that spreads faster than facts. Then, ATM machines begin failing because digital banking systems relied heavily on internet connections. Many people suddenly cannot access money. Credit cards stop working, mobile payments stop working, financial systems begin freezing, and the situation becomes much more serious. Businesses struggle to operate as restaurants cannot process online orders. Offices lose cloud access. Delivery companies lose tracking systems. Online stores disappear overnight. Millions of jobs are suddenly affected. For modern business was built on connection, and connection is gone. Schools face their own crisis as online learning platforms no longer exist. Digital assignments vanish. Cloud storage becomes inaccessible. Teachers are forced to return to paper. Students return to classrooms, and technology suddenly feels much less reliable. Supply chains begin slowing dramatically as warehouses cannot communicate efficiently. Shipping routes become difficult to coordinate. GPS systems experience disruptions, deliveries arrive late or never arrive at all, and every missing shipment creates new shortages. News channels broadcast constantly as experts debate possible causes: cyber attack, solar storm, global system failure. Nobody agrees, nobody knows, for humanity has never faced a crisis quite like this. Meanwhile, something unexpected happens. People begin talking again, not through screens but face to face. Neighbors meet outside, communities gather, conversations return to parks, streets, homes, and humanity begins reconnecting in a different way. Yet the economic damage continues growing as stock markets remain closed, global trade slows, businesses shut down, investors panic, governments release emergency measures, and the world's economy begins shaking. Some cities remain calm while others experience unrest. Protests appear, rumors spread, fear spreads. Nobody knows how long society can function like this, and every day feels heavier than the last. 2 weeks pass with still no internet, no answers, no solution, and experts begin admitting something terrifying. This may not be temporary. Humanity may need to adapt permanently. Across the world, millions begin changing their routines as paper maps return, printed records return, physical libraries become valuable again. Radio stations gain importance and forgotten technologies suddenly become essential. Looking around your city, you realize the crisis is no longer about convenience, but about survival. Food, money, communication, transportation, everything connected to what was lost, and humanity is only beginning to understand the consequences. The first week without the internet is over. The world has survived barely, but larger problems are approaching as supply chains weaken, economies weaken, governments struggle. For humanity spent decades building a connected civilization, and now that civilization is beginning to crack, the collapse has finally begun. Chapter 3: The Collapse Begins. 1 month has passed since the internet disappeared. The world is still standing, but it is no longer functioning normally. Every day brings new problems, new shortages, new failures, new uncertainty, and humanity is learning a painful lesson. Modern civilization depended on far more digital systems than anyone realized. Supermarket shelves continue emptying as food deliveries arrive late or sometimes never arrive. Fresh produce becomes difficult to find. Certain products disappear entirely. Citizens begin rationing supplies, and the crisis is becoming visible. Fuel shortages begin spreading as oil companies struggle to coordinate shipments. Transportation systems slow down. Gas stations experience long lines. Some stations run completely dry, and every shortage creates another shortage in a chain reaction that continues. Airports become one of the hardest-hit industries as flight scheduling systems relied heavily on global networks. Navigation systems struggle, delays and cancellations increase, and international travel begins shrinking dramatically. Cargo shipping suffers even more because global trade depended on constant communication. Tracking systems disappear. Coordination becomes difficult. Ports become congested. Ships wait longer, goods move slower, and the world economy weakens further. GPS systems begin experiencing major disruptions as many services relied on internet-connected updates. Navigation becomes unreliable. Delivery drivers struggle. Transportation networks become less efficient, and simple journeys suddenly become difficult. Financial markets remain unstable as businesses close every week. Unemployment rises, savings disappear, investors panic. Governments attempt emergency intervention, yet nobody can restore the missing connection. Hospitals face growing challenges as digital records become difficult to access. Supply management becomes slower. Communication between facilities becomes harder. Doctors and nurses adapt, but every task requires more effort than before. Governments encourage communities to become more self-sufficient as local food production increases. Neighborhood groups organize, citizens help one another, and humanity begins rediscovering cooperation because survival requires teamwork. Yet, not everyone remains calm as some cities experience unrest, protests grow larger, rumors spread faster than facts, fear influences decisions, and trust becomes increasingly valuable yet increasingly rare. Meanwhile, younger generations face a strange challenge because many have never lived without the internet. They grew up connected, entertained, informed, networked, and now they must learn a completely different way of life. As months pass, society slowly changes as paper becomes valuable. Libraries become important, radio stations become critical, face-to-face communication returns, and the world begins adapting, but adaptation comes at a cost. Looking around your city, you notice something surprising. Streets feel quieter. Fewer people stare at phones. More people talk to each other. Parks are busy again. Public spaces feel alive. And while some changes are negative, others are unexpectedly positive. But one fact remains impossible to ignore. The global economy is collapsing. Supply chains remain broken. International trade continues shrinking. Nations are struggling. And the crisis is no longer temporary. It has become the new reality. Humanity survived the first month, but survival is not recovery. The old world is disappearing. A new world is emerging. Nobody knows what that world will look like. Yet one thing is certain, if civilization is going to survive, people will have to build something new, together. Chapter Life Without Connections. 3 months have passed. The internet is still gone. Nobody talks about bringing it back anymore. People talk about survival, adaptation, community. The world has entered a new era, an offline era, and surprisingly, humanity is beginning to adjust. Without social media, people spend less time online because there is no online. Parks become crowded, cafes become social centers, community halls become gathering places, face-to-face conversations return, and something forgotten begins reappearing. Human connection. Schools transform completely as digital classrooms disappear, teachers return to physical lessons, libraries become important again, books become valuable resources. Students adapt faster than expected. Learning continues, just differently. Businesses reinvent themselves as local markets replace online shopping, community trade networks emerge, people buy directly from producers, farmers, bakers, craftsmen, and local economies begin growing. Communication becomes humanity's biggest challenge because without email, messaging apps, or cloud systems, information travels slowly. But people find solutions. They always do. Radio stations become essential as local broadcasts provide news, weather updates, emergency alerts, community information, and radio evolves from old technology into critical technology. Neighborhoods organize themselves as volunteers help elderly residents, food distribution networks appear, communities share resources, local leaders emerge, and cooperation becomes more valuable than ever before. You become one of those volunteers, every day helping distribute supplies, deliver information, assist neighbors. For the crisis has changed people, including you, and survival now depends on teamwork. For the first time since the collapse began, panic starts fading, not because problems disappeared, but because people adapted. Humans are remarkably resilient. When one system fails, they build another. Yet not everything improves as international communication remains limited. Long-distance travel remains difficult, trade remains restricted, and the world is becoming smaller, more local, more isolated, more fragmented. Scientists continue searching for answers. Engineers continue experimenting. Governments continue investigating. Somewhere, teams are working day and night trying to reconnect humanity, trying to rebuild what was lost. Rumors begin spreading about experimental communication systems, smaller, simpler, localized, not a global internet, but something new that might eventually reconnect communities. Around the world, societies evolve differently. Some communities thrive, others struggle. Some embrace cooperation, others face conflict. And humanity is conducting the largest social experiment in history. Looking around your neighborhood, you notice something unexpected. Children play outside more often. Families eat together more often. People know their neighbors. Real friendships grow. Some things lost value while other things became priceless. Humanity survived the collapse, adapted, rebuilt. But survival is not enough. People want more than stability. They want progress, connection, growth. And somewhere scientists believe they may have found a path forward, and that path could change everything. Chapter 5: The Hardest, Winter. 9 months after the Internet disappeared, winter arrives, and with it comes a new challenge: cold. Relentless cold humanity survived the economic collapse and the shortages. But winter is different because winter does not negotiate and winter does not care. Energy shortages spread quickly as power stations still operate, but fuel supplies remain limited. Maintenance remains difficult, distribution remains unreliable. Many neighborhoods experience blackouts, and some lose power completely. Temperatures continue falling. Heating becomes a luxury. People gather blankets, firewood, warm clothing. Every resource suddenly matters. Every degree matters, and every night becomes a challenge. Community centers become survival hubs, schools, churches, public buildings. Any heated space becomes valuable as families gather together, sharing warmth, resources, and hope. Food becomes another concern, as supplies are limited, deliveries remain unreliable. Communities begin rationing carefully because nobody knows how long winter will last, and nobody wants to run out. Every meal becoming important. Community kitchens appear everywhere as volunteers cook together. Families eat together. Resources are pooled. Waste is minimized, and cooperation becomes survival, while survival becomes cooperation. Some communities struggle more than others, as rural areas face isolation, and cities face overcrowding, every region having different problems. Yet the challenge remains the same: endure the winter, survive until spring. You spend most days helping others, delivering supplies, checking on elderly residents, repairing damaged buildings. The crisis has transformed your priorities because survival is no longer an individual task, but a community effort. Not everyone survives the winter as illness spreads. Accidents happen, resources run out, communities mourn losses, and the reality of the new world becomes impossible to ignore because every victory has a cost. Despite the hardships, humanity refuses to quit as new heating systems are improvised, new supply routes are created, new solutions emerge, and innovation survives even during crisis. During one stormy night, a radio broadcast captures the world's attention as scientists announce progress. Not a new internet, but something smaller, experimental, yet promising. Hope spreads rapidly, not through social media or online platforms, but through radio, newspapers, word of mouth. For humanity has learned new ways to share information. As winter continues, communities become stronger, more organized, more resilient. People know each other better, trust each other more, depend on each other more, and society is changing. Then finally, temperatures begin rising, snow begins melting, days become longer, spring approaches, and humanity has survived its hardest season, barely, but survival is still victory. Looking across the city, you realize something remarkable. The old world is gone, but humanity is still here. Stronger, wiser, more connected to each other. The internet disappeared, yet civilization survived, and now it is ready to build something new. Chapter: Building Something New. Spring finally arrives. The snow is gone. The worst winter in modern history is over. Communities begin stepping outside again. Streets become active. Markets reopen. Construction begins. And for the first time in months, people stop focusing only on survival and start thinking about the future. Across the world, engineers return to work. Scientists return to laboratories. Inventors return to workshops. And humanity has a new mission. Not restoring the old internet, but building something better, stronger, safer. The first breakthrough comes from local communication systems as small networks begin connecting neighborhoods, then towns, then cities. Information starts flowing again slowly but steadily, and humanity is reconnecting. Unlike the old internet, these new systems are decentralized. No single company or nation controls them. Communities manage their own networks. Resilience becomes the highest priority, and the mistakes of the past are not forgotten. Trade begins recovering as farmers exchange goods, manufacturers restart production, transportation systems improve. Local economies grow stronger, and for the first time since the collapse, progress returns. Education evolves as well, with schools combining traditional learning with new technology, students learning survival skills, engineering, agriculture, communication systems, and the next generation preparing for a different world. You join a rebuilding project, every day helping construct communication towers, repair infrastructure, train volunteers. What began as survival has become purpose. And the future is being built one piece at a time. Communities that once competed now cooperate as resources are shared, knowledge is shared, innovations spread rapidly, and humanity discovers that collaboration is more powerful than competition during recovery. Months pass as more cities reconnect, more regions recover, more systems come online. Life remains different from before, but different does not mean worse, and humanity is adapting once again. The new networks are not perfect, they are slower, smaller, more limited, yet they are reliable, stable, secure, and most importantly, they work. For the first time in over a year, a message travels between distant regions, then another, then thousands more. The moment feels historic, small, yet historic, and humanity is reconnecting its world. News spreads quickly as communities celebrate, governments celebrate, families celebrate. Hope spreads faster than fear for the first time since the collapse began, and the future suddenly feels brighter. Looking back, people begin understanding what happened. The Internet's disappearance changed everything, revealing weaknesses, dependencies, vulnerabilities, lessons that humanity will never forget. But history is rarely about what is lost. History is about what comes next. Humanity survived, adapted, learned, and now humanity is preparing for its next chapter. One evening, a global announcement is broadcast as scientists reveal a bold plan, a new communication system, larger than local networks, larger than regional networks, a system designed for the entire planet. Humanity is preparing to reconnect the world once again. But this time, everything will be different. Chapter 7: The New Society. 2 years have passed since the Internet vanished, and the world is almost unrecognizable. Not because cities disappeared, not because humanity collapsed, but because people changed. Society changed, civilization adapted. The age of constant connection is over, and a new era has begun. Communities become more important than ever as local leaders make local decisions. Citizens participate directly, people know their neighbors, problems are solved face to face, and trust becomes society's most valuable currency. The economy looks different now as small businesses thrive, local production expands. Communities become less dependent on distant suppliers. Goods travel shorter distances, and supply chains become stronger, simpler, more resilient. Technology still exists and continues advancing, but people use it differently, more carefully, more intentionally, for humanity no longer trusts massive centralized systems, and the lessons of the collapse remain fresh. Schools teach different lessons now as students learn engineering, agriculture, emergency preparedness, communication systems, community responsibility, and survival and cooperation become essential skills. One surprising change affects everyone as people spend far less time staring at screens. Parks are full, libraries are crowded. Sports become popular again. Communities feel more alive, and human interaction becomes normal once more. Health improves in unexpected ways, as many people sleep better, exercise more, socialize more. Stress levels decrease, not for everyone, but for many, and the offline world offers benefits nobody expected. The new communication networks continue expanding as cities reconnect, regions reconnect, nations reconnect. Slowly, humanity rebuilds global communication, but this time the foundation is stronger. You become a respected community leader, not because you are famous or powerful, but because you helped when people needed it most during the collapse, during the winter, during the rebuilding. Trust must be earned, and you earned it. Scientists continue developing the next generation of communication systems as global cooperation increases. Nations share research, universities collaborate, engineers work together, and humanity has learned the cost of division. Children born after the collapse grow up differently, never knowing the old internet, never knowing social media addiction, never knowing constant notifications, and their world is different and perhaps healthier. Across the planet, optimism returns as cities recover, economies stabilize, communities thrive, humanity begins believing in the future again, and the darkest days are finally behind them. Then the announcement arrives. The new global communication network is nearly complete after years of research, testing, and rebuilding. The project is almost ready, and the world waits anxiously. Some people are excited, others are cautious. Everyone remembers what happened before, Nobody wants to repeat history, and the next network must be different, safer, smarter, stronger. Standing above the city, you look at a civilization that refused to disappear, a civilization that adapted, learned, survived. The collapse changed everything, but perhaps it also prepared humanity for something better. And tomorrow, the world reconnects. Chapter: The Return of Technology. 3 years after the collapse, humanity stands at a crossroads. The old internet is gone, but civilization survived. Cities recovered, communities rebuilt, technology evolved, and now the world is preparing for a historic moment. Across the globe, scientists complete final testing. Thousands of engineers review systems. Governments coordinate together. Universities contribute research. Private companies contribute technology. And for the first time in years, humanity is working toward one shared goal. The new network is different. Decentralized, distributed, resilient. No single company or nation controls it. Every region helps maintain it, and the lessons of the collapse shaped every decision. News of the launch spreads worldwide as cities prepare celebrations. Schools discuss the event, families gather, entire communities wait. The atmosphere feels similar to a moon landing, and humanity knows history is about to happen. Then launch day arrives as scientists count down. Engineers monitor systems. Governments observe. Billions wait. The world holds its breath, and years of work come down to one moment. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, activate. For a moment nothing happens, then signals begin moving. Cities reconnect, regions reconnect, nations reconnect, messages begin flowing, and humanity is connected once again. Cheers erupt worldwide as scientists celebrate, engineers celebrate, families celebrate, entire cities celebrate. Humanity has achieved something extraordinary, not by restoring the past, but by creating something new. Yet the new network behaves differently. No addictive algorithms, no massive centralized control, no dependence on a handful of companies. Reliability becomes the highest priority. Stability becomes the foundation. Education transforms again, research accelerates, medical collaboration expands, scientific discoveries spread faster, innovation returns, and humanity gains the benefits of connection without repeating old mistakes. You watch communities reconnect with distant friends, families separated by thousands of miles communicate again, businesses coordinate again, universities collaborate again. The world feels larger and smaller at the same time. Many people expected the return of technology to replace human connection, but it doesn't. Communities remain strong. Parks remain busy. Families remain close. Humanity learned something valuable during the collapse and refuses to forget. Looking around your city, you see evidence everywhere. Stronger communities, smarter infrastructure, better preparedness, more resilient systems. Humanity emerged stronger than before. The collapse once seemed like the end. Now it feels like a beginning, a painful beginning. An expensive beginning, but a beginning nonetheless. Civilization has evolved, and the future looks brighter than ever. That night, a message is broadcast across the entire planet. Humanity survived. Humanity adapted. Humanity rebuilt. The internet disappeared, but civilization endured, and now a new age begins tomorrow. The future of humanity is written. Chapter 9: Humanity's Second Internet. 5 years have passed since the day the internet disappeared. 5 years since the world changed forever. Entire industries vanished. Entire systems collapsed. Entire ways of life disappeared, yet humanity survived not because it was prepared, but because it adapted. And now a new chapter begins. The new global network is now fully operational. People calling it the second internet not because it replaces the old one, but because it learned from it. Every design decision reflecting a lesson from the collapse. Reliability comes first. Resilience comes first. Humanity refuses to repeat old mistakes. Unlike the first internet, the second internet cannot fail from a single point, as communities maintain local control. Regions maintain regional control. Nations cooperate globally. Every layer supporting every other layer, the network designed to survive anything. Schools teach the collapse as history. Children studying what happened, learning how dependent society became, how fragile systems can be, and how important resilience truly is, the collapse becoming one of humanity's greatest lessons. New technologies emerge: faster communication, smarter infrastructure, better emergency systems, more reliable energy grids, every innovation built around one principle: never again. Yet the greatest change is not technological but human. Communities remain strong, families remain connected, neighbors still know each other. Society remembers what mattered most during the crisis: people. Looking around the world, you see something remarkable. Cities are stronger. Communities are stronger. Institutions are stronger. Humanity became more resilient because of what it endured. The collapse left scars, but it also left wisdom. You are now considered one of the people who helped during the rebuilding. Not because you were famous or rich, but because you showed up during the shortages, during the winter, during the uncertainty, when people needed help. Younger generations often ask about the old world. Social media, smartphones, constant connectivity, endless notifications. To them it sounds strange, almost unbelievable, their world different, their priorities different. Humanity still uses technology, more than ever in fact, but technology serves people now. People no longer serve technology, and that lesson changed civilization forever. One evening, a global celebration is announced. 5 years since the collapse. 5 years since humanity nearly lost everything. 5 years since humanity began rebuilding, the entire world preparing to remember and celebrate. As celebrations begin, millions gather in public squares, parks, community centers, people remembering those who suffered, those who helped, those who never gave up, the rebuilding belonging to everyone. A message is broadcast worldwide, not from a government or a corporation, but from humanity itself. The message simple: we survived, we learned, we adapted, we moved forward. Looking at the stars above the city, you realize something. The internet disappearing was never the end of the story. It was the beginning of a new one. Humanity lost a network, but discovered itself. You began as an ordinary person checking your phone on an ordinary morning, then the internet disappeared. The economy collapsed, cities struggled, communities fought to survive. Winter tested humanity, civilization rebuilt itself. The second internet was born, and through it all, humanity proved something extraordinary. Technology can fail, systems can fail, networks can fail. But as long as people stand together, civilization survives. Because humanity's greatest connection was never the internet, it was each other. From total disconnection to a new civilization, this was your life after Earth's internet disappeared.